wise person once said, drinking good wine with good food and good company is one of life's most civilized pleasures. Something I've heard before, probably on Facebook and, those random quotes everyone puts up. But I never really understood it until recently, and I have to say, it's pretty dang true. But let me back up a sec and let me explain why now. So I've lived here in Lodi for over 20 years, which is crazy to hear myself say that. And not once have I done an episode here in my hometown. Why? That's a good question, which I really don't have an answer for you. In fact, a good friend of mine, Brandt, asked me last summer when I was road mapping this season of Driven. He asked, why not do an episode here in Lodi? Honestly, I really never gave any thought about it, only because I live here. We're just a small, quiet town. I go to the gym. I get my cardio in walking around Costco. I hit balls sometimes at Mickey Grove until I get chased out. It's the small town life. But the more Brandt and I talked about it, the more excited I got thinking about what we could actually possibly do. And then it came to me. Brandt, being a local content creator himself, just like me, I thought maybe we can do this episode together. Maybe we can hook up with some locals and showcase what makes Lodi so very special. Other than the fact that's where Creedence Clearwater got stuck some years ago. So boys and girls, I want to welcome you to a very special episode of Driven, produced by my good friend Brandt, featuring our small yet wonderful hometown of Lodi. Enjoy. Just 80 miles east of San Francisco, this once small, quiet town is growing into a little city more and more each day. Still, with all the growth, Lodi is still that little town at heart. Our downtown area is small, but packed with winery tasting rooms, coffee shops, a movie theater, tons of shopping, and a handful of great restaurants. The wine region of Lodi has grown massively over the last 15 years. Now with over 90 wineries and countless awards being given out every single year. Lodi is making a name for itself. You can hear references of Lodi being labeled as Little Napa. And there's something about food and wine and how it brings people together. It's what we plan for, it's what we look forward to, and just enjoy those special times with those we're close to. And to best showcase what Lodi has to offer in our food and wine arena, we are doing something new here on Driven. A sit-down discussion with two local companies who are paving the way of growth for our small city. First, we will visit Russ Fields, owner of Fields Family Wine, as well as his famous winemaker Ryan Sherman, who delivers that special taste. And what's a good wine if you can't serve it with amazing food? Enter in my favorite place, Pietro's, a world-renowned restaurant located right here in Lodi. It's time to sit down with owner of Pietro's, Pete Murdoka, so we can learn what makes the experience so very special and the fascinating story of how it became so. Be honest, I don't remember a whole lot from high school. The good times, of course. All the great instructions and lessons from fantastical teachers. Yeah, not so much. Although I do remember my science class, learning that there are two main transformations that happen in this world. Things either physically change or chemically change. Well, guess what? Both of those happen in wine. From the physical change in temperature to the chemical change during the fermentation process. And after that, all I know is it tastes good going down your throat. But not only do I want to learn more about wine and the process, so I can seem way smarter than I really am, but I have become fascinated with pairing certain wines with my favorite thing to do, and that's eat. And who better to teach us? Lodi's very own, rising sensations, Russ Fields, and his winemaker, Ryan Sherman.
So this is the 2018 Syrah. So we talked about ingredients, talk about fruit sources, that sort of stuff. And Russ has had this vineyard, since 2004. He purchased the property 2005.
Were there grapes on the property when you started?
There was grapes here. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all Syrah, all 10 acres of Syrah, organically grown.
How old are the vines?
We think maybe about 40 years.
Yeah, 30 to 40.
The guy that had the vineyard was one of the first organic certified vineyards in all of Lodi, but I think that was his license to just be neglectful because he didn't have to do anything. So when Russ bought the ranch, took 4 years of getting it whipped into shape. And I mean, we didn't do a first standalone single varietal wine until 2009, and even that was we weren't sure if it was going to make the cut. But what we're doing here is like whether it's Zinfandel or Cinsault or of course Syrah from here is let the vineyard, let the fruit this is the spot where this comes from, and not kind of put my thumbprint on anything, and just let it speak for itself. Kind of what we're talking about, like ingredients for what you have, and where you're sourcing your fruit from.
Just let it be what it is.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, we work with a good, vineyard manager. Russ will let that gentleman, farm according to, the practices we want. So the idea is we get good, pristine quality fruit in, then the burden's on us to not, screw it up.
Is it all hand-picked?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all hand-picked.
So
I love that.
Hand-pick, we'll pick multiple times. We have probably 5 different picks on just the Syrah. Well, 5, 3.
3 to 4 picks. If sometimes we'll do a rosé with it. We'll try to do a very traditional provincial style rosé.
Yeah.
And so the estate, there's Grenache Blanc, which is familiar from grown in the south of France, the Châteauneuf-du-Pape area. And then we have Vermentino, which is probably near and dear to my heart. I love the dry, crisp Italian whites. And then in the back of the property we have Tempranillo, but the large portion of the property is still in Syrah.
Yeah.
And we've been fortunate where through, basically great farming and great practices where the quality coming out of here is bar none. I mean, for Lodi, Syrah, really not having to tinker with anything at all. All of our fermentations are native, ambient fermentation. Yeah. So it really, if you're able to pick a perfect, pristine ripeness and that fruit comes in, there's literally nothing to do. I mean, you're going to shepherd it along in the process, and you're going to make sure it gets to a finished product that's drinkable. But
is there a difference when you hand pick it? Can you see a difference in the quality of the grape versus
how clean it comes off?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
Big
when
difference.
You crush it, and when the whole process becomes. So why don't more people do that?
Money.
It's extremely expensive.
As we were getting ready for this sit down, I had multiple friends reach out saying they absolutely loved Fields wines. And I'm starting to see it in the details, which separates them from most other wineries. They don't force the wine. They let the wine come to them. Whatever the vines are willing to provide is what they make work, which is absolutely fascinating to me. All while Ryan, the winemaker, does this part-time, for he is a real estate agent by trade, which in itself is remarkable and shows his true brilliance, to where during the day he's making moves in real estate, and in the evenings on weekends he's producing some of the area's finest wines.
Like the inspiration for all of our red wines is what Russ and I talked about was we're not going to make tasting room wine. Like there's enough people making wine just for the tasting room and just for the crowds. These are wines that we want on our table. Like
Right.
you come over and you're going to prepare a meal and like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm proud to have you taste my wine,
Sure.
right? And you're going to put extra special effort into showing him how to make proper pizza without screwing it up,
Right.
right? So
Possible.
for the same thing for the red wines, like, all right, these are wines I want on the table with my family and friends. And the same, like the white wines, you know, hey, I want, it's not ever going to be something that you're trying to mimic or copy, but I want that same feeling. Like when I drank this white wine in Italy or
Right.
south of France, I want to replicate that with Lodi fruit if possible, right?
Right.
And I want to share that same experience. I want to share with food and family and friends. This is kind of like the whole point of what we were talking about
Right.
when we started the winery. Is like, hey, let's make wine that we want to drink. We don't want to make just, you know, mass produced, you know, commodity.
We rebuilt
wines.
the vineyard that way.
Yeah.
What do we want to drink? Vermentino. All right,
Yeah.
then we're going to plant or
And
draft
how,
on some Vermentino.
and how you decide to do it is a big part of it too. I mean, you guys are kind of like doing what we're talking about, the guys in Italy. Except we don't have the Mediterranean Sea outside.
Lodi
That'd
Lake.
be nice.
Yeah,
That'd be nice.
You don't want any fish out of Lodi.
I wonder,
So.
because I'm the same way with food. Like you base what you're doing off of your experiences and what you've seen and how you want to like put it in the world, I guess you could say. Like, how do the guys that you get the experience from? Where do they get the experience from?
Well,
like
it's
the
a-
guy
it's
on the
a-
hill in Amalfi Coast.
I don't know.
Where's
Yeah,
he getting the
these
experience?
these guys
grandpa,
in Champagne.
his uncle. I mean, it's passed down. It's generations. I mean, you look, or you have such a drive or a passion. You figure it out yourself. You just
Yeah.
get in and figure it out. I mean,
You're like, yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to do.
if you're a dish or a meal service or something, and you go and talk. You talk to me in the restaurant like, hey, how was it tonight? Like, oh man, it was amazing. We had a great time. And you're like, really? Because from my perspective, it was a train wreck.
It was a real slop show getting it to the table. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
more often than not.
No, I think that's the thing. Is it teaches you this is taught, you know, it teaches you to be patient and kind of trust your gut when you make
Yeah.
when you make a decision, you know, and you only learn that through. I mean, some of our vineyards we're working with like 8-9 years, so you're dealing with whatever Mother Nature's throwing.
Yeah.
At you. It's a warm year, it's a dry year, it's rain, you know, you're
Smoke, all the fires.
smoke.
It's
I mean,
smoked years.
you have to stick with the vineyard for probably a minimum of 6 years and probably like 8 years of one vineyard source with that grower to really truly understand what's possible from that vineyard. Like you can come in and anybody can get lucky your first crack and like, oh, we're going to pick it at perfect ripeness from this vineyard the very first time and make a wonderful wine. And then the next couple years are just disjointed kind of train wrecks because of
Yeah.
whatever Mother Nature threw at you or decisions you made on the winemaking process. So you stick with that vineyard for 6 to 8 years. You really learn what's possible from that. And that's what, you know, French called terroir. It's, you know, man is involved in that component, but also what's, you know, possible from that vineyard source.
Being a guy who can whack a ball longer than anyone else, it has opened countless food doors for me. I've eaten some of the best rice and potatoes from Japan, to the ridiculously tasty cuts of beef from Piedmont, Italy, the infamous chocolate in Sweden, and the iguana burgers in Mexico. I've experienced it all. But there is one place that I call home. It embodies all the wealthiest tastes in the world, from the Mediterranean to the Pacific. Pietro's truly offers that in one single place. And may it be luck, it just so happens to be in my very hometown. It is time to sit down with Pete Murdoka, the owner and chef of Pietro's, and see what he and his wonderful team does to serve all those who come looking for a meal for the ages.
We've evolved it over time. I mean, we started all out as the same, like a pizzeria, but we've kind of evolved the menu into what I would deem to be just more authentic to us, with like our Neapolitan style pizzas, our wood-fired pizzas that we have.
Yeah, we got to get to try some of those.
We are going to get to try some of those. In fact, she's going to bring them over right now. We try to be authentic to ourselves and our experiences. So
That's what
some
I'm
of our
talking about.
wood-fired pizzas,
Not fair.
fresh pasta,
Pecorino, what is that?
So
cheese?
this is a porchetta and potato pizza with rosemary, and then a pecorino romano crust. And then this is a fresh pappardelle that we make in-house with an oxtail ragu. So we slow braise it for 6 hours, and then we cool it down and we peel it. We pick it off the bone, and then we make it into a ragu.
That's delicious.
And then this is our house bread as well that we make in-house.
And how long did you cook this pizza in the oven?
90 seconds max. Flour, water, salt, yeast.
Is it
Super
burned?
simple. It's not. It's charred.
Is it raw like
appropriately
mine?
charred.
I don't think so.
I'd have a raw section right there.
I've never, the word authentic, I don't know. I mean, what does that even mean, you know? I mean, like, authentic to what? Like,
It gets overused. I
I
mean,
think that I try to be authentic to who I am, to who our family is, to what I've learned in my experiences, and I have to imagine that it's similar in the wine business, is that when you're making wine, that, yeah, I mean, my family is Italian, and my parents immigrated here from Italy, and yes, did we start out as a pizza and pasta joint as an Italian-American restaurant? Yes. Do we still have a lot of those items on the menu? Yes, but truthfully, we just try to be authentic to who we are, you know, in our experiences and the way that we perceive things to be based on what we've experienced, whether it's in Italy, going to restaurants, being with our friends.
that porchetta is.
That is not even right.
I just want to have that.
It's good, huh?
Can we get 100% porchetta pizza?
Yeah, you can. We got porchetta on the menu too.
No,
Lodi,
what's
so
the olive oil on that?
it's extra virgin olive oil.
Oh
It's
my
from
gosh.
it's from Lodi, Cordo olive oil.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah,
That is
it's
good.
local. Yeah. We grow the rosemary outside for the pizzas as well. So that's a good representation of the porchetta is a sustainably farmed pork belly. The pecorino romano is from Italy. The rosemary is from our garden. The olive oil that we use is from here in Lodi.
Yeah.
So trying to just be, I think, trying to be
The
respectful.
flavors are so much more intense when they're fresh like that. That rosemary is. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, that was neat how you put the rosemary down
Put it
first.
underneath.
Yeah.
So that way it just
I put
kind
it
of
on the
gently
top and it burns.
Put it- the good thing
Learn
about
something new every day.
yeah, when you do pizzas with herbs, you should put the basil or the oregano or the rosemary, the onions down first, and then the cheese, because it'll delicately sort of almost bake it under the cheese, and it will burn it if you're going to cook in an oven that's that hot. So we went to Italy, and when we were closed for 4 months, my dad and I went to Italy, and we went to Naples for 3 weeks, and we went to all the pizzerias, and we went to the best pizzerias in the world, all Neapolitan style, because we knew that's what we wanted to do, and we kind of just watched these guys and learned from them, and we evolved. You know, we've kind of made it our own.
Although we are spoiled with some of the best food on the planet, paired with epic selections from Fields Family Wines, Pete's family story is equally intriguing. Starting with his grandfather, an immigrant from Italy, wanted to live out the American dream and, above all else, bring over his family's recipes for all his community to enjoy.
This restaurant has been here since 1985, so we've been here for 37 years. But my grandpa started they came here in 59 from Italy, from Calabria. They immigrated from Reggio Calabria, where my dad was born, with his brother, his sister, my grandma, and my grandpa. And immediately they moved over to Vacaville, which is like an hour and a half from here. And he started working at a M&R packing, like a vegetable packing plant. It's kind of where all the immigrants that started when they came over right away. They started in like a packing plant, and then from there he found a little like 1,000 square foot place, and he called it Capri in 1960. And he served like
That
old
was in
school,
Vacaville?
yeah, old school Italian American food, just pizza, pasta, lasagna, cannelloni, and it was popular. So he moved over to, it's still there, it's on Alamo Drive, 511 Alamo Drive. And they started Pietro's, and that was his name, Pietro. So him and my grandma started doing that in 1960. And my dad, my uncle, and my aunts kind of got into the business, and so they started to grow. And so he started opening up restaurants in Fairfield, Manteca, Woodland, and then he came here with my dad in 1985. So my dad and him opened this restaurant in '85, and my dad took over all of the other stores, but it became very difficult very quickly.
That's a lot of restaurants.
Yeah,
to manage.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he just consolidated back down into this one. My uncle still owns the one in Vacaville. My cousin, there's actually two in Vacaville, and they're like literally less than a mile away from each other. I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to open two Pietros right next to each other, but they did. And my cousin owns one, and my cousin owns the other one, and both of their names are Joe, and both of their last names are Murdaca. It's
Yeah.
very, very Italian. So then my dad's been here since '85. I came back in 2012, 2013.
Was that when you were over in Italy?
Yeah,
Like you were-
so when I graduated from college, I went over to culinary school, and I lived in Parma, Italy, where I went to culinary school there, and then I worked in Michelin restaurants in Calabria for 6 months, and then I worked in a restaurant in Rome for 3 months, and then I went back down to Calabria for another 3 months. So I was all in total over there for about a year, learning how to cook and working in restaurants there, kind of being the dishwasher grunt man.
learning all the aspects
Yeah,
of
for
it.
sure.
Yeah.
On behalf of Team Driven, I want to say thank you to both Pietro's and Fields Family Wines for allowing us an inside look and giving us the opportunity to show our viewers what we already know. If you want the best food paired with the best wine, look no further than our small yet booming town of Lodi. Cheers.
I'm driven. I'm driven.